Hello everyone. Right here we have a Simplex 4100 Plus, and it's all normal. So the 4100 Plus will be introduced around 1992, replacing the 4100 Classic, and it will be discontinued in the early 2000s with the release of the 4100U. So the 4100 Plus would incorporate many of the features that were added to the 4100 Classic, like voice evacuation, addressable devices, networking, and so forth. And it would maintain many of these features and in some cases enhance them, such as increased point capacity and utilizing a new card system. In some nomenclature, the 4100 Plus is called an enhanced 4100, because the Classic and the Plus are very similar, especially in looks, although the 4100 would add many more features that the Classic would never use, such as addressable signaling. So on this system, you have both addressable devices and addressable notification appliances. Now, all of these addressable notification appliances are being controlled with the TrueAlert Addressable Controller, and this is connected back to the 4100 Plus. And this addressable signaling feature is only available on the latest firmware of the 4100 Plus, version 9. So let's go look at some of the devices. We have a 2099 9795 pole station, a 4098 9714 smoke detector, a 4098 9701 smoke detector on a 4098 9782 sounder base, a 2098 9643 base with a 2098 9201 smoke detector, and a 4090 9101 monitor ZAM, which is just there for show. So something interesting is we have MapNet 1, MapNet 2, and IDNet all on the same system, thanks to backwards and forwards compatibility. The 4100 Plus is technically a MapNet 2 system. Now for notification appliances, all of these are addressable. We have a 4090 AV horn strobe, a 49VO strobe, and a 4906 9201 strobe. And the ES TrueAlerts are backwards compatible on the TrueAlert Addressable Controller, but most of the TrueAlert ES series devices are not compatible on this unit. Only the horn strobes and the strobes, and the horn onlys. We also have a 4603 9101 LCD annunciator on top of the 4009. So let's put this system in a walk test and test each one of these initiating devices, and then we'll set the system off in full alarm. So go over here. See if I'm still logged in. Nope. Lock in level 3. Go to walk test. Turn signaling on. Alright, so let's begin. Strobes don't flash on walk test. It's kind of a strange thing with the addressable signals. Magnet test doesn't work on that sounder base, so we'll come back to it. Okay. So now let's get out of walk test and we'll sound this in full alarm. Okay, we're back to normal. So now we'll try to activate this with smoke. It might set off the other detectors, but that's okay. And the horn is going to sound in temporal coding, and the sounder base is just going to be on continuous. Okay, the MapNet 1 base went off, but not the sounder base. Let's try that again. There we go. got audible silence. See if we can set this one off too. Yeah, I have the program to supervisory. Why not? Alright, cool. So let me air out all these smoke detectors and then we'll reset the system. Okay, they should all be aired out now. If you listen carefully, you might be hearing some relays clicking. That's the conventional signal card. It's coded to temporal, but nothing's on that. But it's still sounding anyways. Alright, perfect. Alright, now let's take a look at what's inside the 4100 Plus. So first, this is what the display looks like. This is actually a second generation model. The priority 2 and the alarm silence indicators won't be added to the display until later in the panel's lifespan, around 1994 and 1995. This is what the original 4100 Pluses look like. It looks a lot like the classic, no priority 2 and no alarm silence. But this one's actually on the latest firmware as well, so they did update these older ones too. So back to the second gen one. Alright. So this card here on the left, this is the main CPU. Unlike the classic, it's actually a card on the system. It has a RAM battery and all that. And then the ribbon cable to the display. This card right here, this is a network card for the 4120 network. It's not in use right now, which is why the LED is on. This here is an RUI card. This is for the Annunciator as well as the 4009. And then this card here is a signal card. This is for the conventional signals, not the addressable ones. The addressable ones are connected to the 4009, but if I had conventional signals, you just hook them up to this card, and they get their power fed from the power supply. And then this card right here, this is a MapNet card. This is where all the addressable initiating devices are connected to. It's a larger card. It has a power supply and then the card on top. And then this big card here, this is actually the main power supply. It's often called the UPS or the universal power supply. So it provides power to the system, signals, all that stuff. It's got 3 power taps on top, and the AC input goes through there. And it has a big board on top, but the actual power banks are actually underneath. This one I think is silver, so this would be like silver wing, but there's also the gold wing, as these power supplies often are called. Yep. And then this is what the inside looks like. You got your user buttons here and more buttons over there. This one says 1996, but this is actually a hodgepodge of different parts. I think I had like 4 4100 Plus CPUs at one point. So there's one in there for that display. There's this one. The CPU on this one actually used to be, I think it was part of an NDU or network display unit, because all it had on it originally was a network card and an RS-232 card. I had a version 8 CPU, which came out of KSHB TV Studios in Kansas City, Missouri, which I gave to a friend. And then I have a spare version 9 CPU that's really slow. I think it might have some kind of issue, but that don't sound like it came out of a high-rise building and it had a voice system and everything programmed on it. Yeah. Now this is only one bay. 4100 Plus is more often than not often had multiple bays depending on the size of the system. I had this programmed, so I have this little demo system, but ideally there would often be multiple cards and lots of points and wherever else this system would need to cover the entire building. And yes, there is voice capability with these panels too. This 4100 Plus, I need to get it programmed, but at some point it will have a voice bay on it. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the 4100 Plus with addressable TrueAlerts. It's a pretty unique feature for such an old panel. The 4020 also has a feature just like this too. So if you have a 4020 with the latest firmware, version 9, you can also do something like this too. very unique and a very interesting component to add to a already excellent panel. A lot of people say the 4100 Plus is the best 4100 panel, and to some extent, I do agree. Besides having so many advanced features like this and being an overall very complex and feature-packed panel, the 4100 Plus is also fairly reliable. Some parts on the U's and ES's can often fail, and that's either due to quality control or just some other reason, but the Pluses, they're very, very sturdy. So much so that Simplex actually still makes parts for the 4100 Plus. The power supply and the CPU, motherboards and all that stuff, there are blue PCB versions of those, which means they were made sometime in 2020 or later, so they're still making parts for this panel, and many of these are still active and can probably go on for a couple more decades if they're taken care of. And if you are interested in getting a 4100 panel, I think the Plus would be the best choice because besides being sturdy and having a nice hodgepodge of features, these can be programmed if you know who to talk to. These aren't as difficult to program as the classics. And parts for these are also not that expensive. So a Plus would be a great starting point for these for anyone interested in the 4100 panel. Well, until next time, this has been the 4100 Plus with the TrueAlert Addressable Controller. Have a nice day. Piezo's dying on it.